crash. Nearly a week after Fremont police announced citations for 6 people involved in that hit and run at a school protest, no charges have been issued yet. The police report we received today says the 17-year-old driver left the scene without helping or reporting the crash. The crash was outside Fremont High School 3 weeks ago. Fremont police said days later, 6 people, 1 adult and 5 minors were ticketed. A red SUV is seen on video hitting the protester and then pausing and driving off. The driver allegedly told police he feared he would be hurt by protesters if he stopped after hitting the girl. The girl hit was not seriously hurt. Police reports state she should not have been in the road. The immigration crackdown in Minnesota